All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a big one, something that touches pretty much every single person's life, our education system. And yeah, the title is a little provocative, but that's because we're going to challenge some of the basic ideas we have about what school is actually for.
So, let me ask you something. Think back to your school days. All those countless hours studying, memorizing facts, cramming for tests. But did it really prepare you for life? The messy, complicated stuff, like managing your money, navigating relationships, building a career. This question, it gets right to the heart of what we're digging into today.
And this statement right here is the core of our entire conversation. It's a pretty shocking idea, right? What if our education system isn't broken by accident? What if it was built for a very specific purpose, just not the one we think it is? Let's go back to the beginning.
Now, let's be super clear. Education itself is absolutely essential, but the argument here is that the system we use, well, it was designed for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. It's kind of like we're trying to run the latest, most advanced software on a computer from the industrial age. Just wasn't built for this.
So where did this design even come from? It wasn't random, not at all. It was a deliberate blueprint. And to really understand our classrooms today, we have to travel back in time to its origins in 19th century Prussia. So, the Prussian model, it was actually revolutionary back in its day. It was specifically designed to create a unified, manageable, and, you guessed it, obedient population. The goal was never to foster individual creativity or critical thought. It was all about social order and compliance. Sound a little familiar? And this idea, it spread like wildfire. It started in Prussia, but then the Industrial Revolution exploded. And all of a sudden, nations needed a way to train millions of disciplined factory workers. The Prussian model was the perfect tool for the job. And today, the school bells, the rigid schedules, sitting in rows of desks, that's all a legacy, a ghost of that original assembly line approach to education. And this historical design leads us directly to the central conflict of modern education, this massive growing gap between what the system teaches and what we actually need to survive and thrive in the 21st century.
I mean, the contrast is just stark. School is all about memorization, conformity, discipline. But what does life demand? The exact opposite. Creativity, emotional intelligence, critical thinking. These two curriculums are almost completely out of sync.
Just think about this for a second. How many of us use advanced calculus in our day-to-day lives? Now, how many of us have to navigate really complex emotions or make critical decisions about our finances? Pretty much every day, right? The system often prioritizes these abstract ideas over the skills that are absolutely essential for a living. And this isn't just some philosophical debate we're having. This mismatch has a real, tangible, and honestly, often painful impact on students. There's a true human cost. Just look at these symptoms. Kids feeling alienated, uninspired, completely disconnected. The burnout is real. That intense pressure from standardized testing, these are not individual failings. They are systemic outcomes. When you force a creative, curious human being into a rigid, outdated box, this is what happens. The system itself is creating the very problems it claims it's trying to solve. So this really forces us to ask a much deeper question. What is the point of all this? Is it just to cram our heads full of facts and figures? To accumulate knowledge? Or should it be about something more profound, like actually nurturing wisdom and the ability to think for ourselves? Okay, so if the system is outdated, where does that leave us? What do we do? Well, here's the empowering part. We can start to redefine education for ourselves. We can start looking for true learning in places way beyond the traditional classroom. And the good news is these alternatives are everywhere. You've got established models like Montessori, the explosion of online learning, or even just the simple act of reading a great book or finding a mentor. True learning was never meant to be confined to a single building or a set curriculum. And this really reveals a crucial truth. Every single one of us can take control of our own education. It starts with curiosity, asking questions, not just memorizing answers. It grows through action, learning by doing. And it's sustained by a commitment to lifelong learning,
long after any formal schooling is over. So, as we wrap up, let's circle back to that central idea. The system isn't broken. Not really. In fact, you could say it's working exactly as it was designed to. The problem is, it was designed for a world that is long, long gone. And this leads us to what might be the most important lesson that school can never actually teach us, that our real education is a personal journey. It's one that we are responsible for designing and pursuing for ourselves.
Which leaves us with this final, powerful question to think about. If it's not just about getting good grades or a fancy degree, what does true education actually look like to you? Because in the end, a true education doesn't just prepare you for a test or a job. It prepares your mind for the one thing that's guaranteed for all of us, life itself. Thanks for joining me.